a man carelessly poured a bucket of smelly, fresh blood into the sea, quickly attracting a large shark. Instead of being scared, the small group of people nearby cheered excitedly. Two girls then suited up and entered what appeared to be a secure diving cage. With help from the crew, the sisters eagerly descended into the water. It was their first time experiencing the ocean up close, and they were smiling with excitement. They had no idea that this dive would soon turn into a nightmare. Shortly after they went underwater, a massive shark suddenly appeared out of the deep. The sisters were shocked at first, but seeing the great white shark so close left them thrilled. They were amazed yet slightly frightened by the encounter. Unbeknownst to them, the shark wasn't just swimming by, it was hunting them. Suddenly, the diving cage shifted as if it were about to sink. Though it turned out to be a false alarm, Kate was shaken by the near mishap. She urged the staff above to pull the cage back up. As they started raising the cage, the winch unexpectedly broke, sending the cage plummeting straight to the ocean floor. The sisters fainted during the rapid descent. The cage eventually crashed onto the seabed, 47 meters below the surface. The broken winch landed directly on top of the cage's exit, trapping them inside. After some time, Kate woke up and managed to wake Lisa, who was still unconscious. Realizing their dire situation, Lisa panicked, gripping the iron bars and screaming for help. Kate tried to calm her down, and Lisa finally controlled her breathing. They heard faint voices over their intercom, but the signal was weak and cutting in and out. Kate guessed the staff were trying to contact them, but the signal likely couldn't reach their depth. To establish contact, Kate decided to swim up. However, the cage door was stuck under the weight of the winch, making it impossible to open. Kate then tried squeezing through the sidebars instead. Lisa warned her against it, fearing the danger of running into a shark outside the cage. But Kate knew staying put would only lead to death as their oxygen was running out. Taking a risk, she removed her oxygen tank and, being slim, managed to wiggle out. However, her head got stuck in the bars. Despite her efforts, she couldn't free herself and had to retreat into the cage. After taking a moment to steady her breathing, she removed her mask, slipped through the bars again, and swam out. The immense water pressure made her task even harder, and her mask strap got tangled. She panicked, but managed to fix her oxygen mask just in time. She put her tank back on, swam to the winch pressing down the cage exit, and moved it aside. Kate swam upward cautiously, knowing she couldn't go far from the cage because a shark could attack at any moment. The sea around Kate was pitch black, like an endless void of darkness. The chilling silence pressed down on her, but she had no other choice. Gritting her teeth, she kept swimming upward, calling out to the staff. After a while, she finally reached the surface and managed to make contact. Kate explained the situation below, and the staff assured her that professional rescuers would arrive soon. They would use a backup crane to hook the cage and pull it up. For now, she was told to return to the cage and wait. Relieved, Kate swam back down to share the news with Lisa. Lisa smiled and let out a sigh of relief. The two even started imagining what it would be like once they were safely back on land. But as they waited on the seabed, no rescue came. Hours seemed to pass, and their oxygen tanks were running dangerously low. With no other options, Kate decided to risk swimming back up to contact the staff again. Halfway up, a huge great white shark suddenly lunged at her, jaws wide open. She reacted quickly and narrowly avoided its attack. Panicked, Kate swam back toward the cage, but it had become stuck in an iron chain. At the same time, the shark was chasing her. In a desperate moment, Kate managed to free the cage door and dove back inside, barely escaping. Before she could catch her breath, the shark struck again. Its powerful bites shook the cage violently. Although the cage protected them for now, the sturdy bars were beginning to crack. A few more bites, and the shark would break through. The sisters forced themselves to stay calm as the shark suddenly swam away. Though they had narrowly escaped, the cage now had a large hole in it, and their oxygen tanks had only 17 minutes of air left. Staying inside meant certain death. They had to find a way to contact the surface. However, underwater communication made it impossible for the staff above to hear them clearly. Desperate, Lisa decided to leave the cage to look for help. Kate gave her instructions as Lisa carefully swam out, staying close to the seabed to avoid attracting the shark. Not far ahead, Kate's voice came through the intercom, warning her that a shark was heading straight for her. Terrified, Lisa couldn't make it back to the cage in time. She spotted an underwater cave nearby and quickly swam inside, just barely escaping the shark's jaws. She stayed silent, watching the entrance intently. It seemed like the shark had left. Suddenly, a movement startled her, and she swam to hide behind a rock. The shark was still there, circling her. Lisa held her breath, waiting until the shark finally swam away. Once the coast was clear, she swam toward the light of a flashlight ahead. But just as she thought she was making progress, a vast, bottomless cliff appeared in her path, blocking her way forward. The cliff below was an endless void of darkness. Lisa couldn't see the bottom, and no one could tell how deep it was, or if something worse than sharks was lurking there. With no way back, she forced herself to face her fear and swam toward the flashlight she saw in the distance. But when she reached it, she was horrified. The flashlight was lying abandoned on the seabed, and there were no rescuers in sight. The overwhelming darkness around her made her feel completely lost, trapped in the vast abyss. Panicked and desperate, Lisa spotted the lifeless body of a rescuer nearby. The person had fallen victim to a shark. Fighting her fear, Lisa retrieved a footplate and a spear gun from the body. Following Kate's instructions through the intercom, she made it back to the cage safely. She attached the footplate to the cage and swam a few meters upward to contact the staff. Once she explained their dire situation, the staff promised they would pull them up soon. Relieved, Lisa swam back to the cage, and she and Kate allowed themselves a moment of hope. But just when they thought rescue was near, disaster struck again. The rope holding the cage snapped under the immense pressure, sending it crashing back to the seabed. Lisa screamed in agony as her foot became trapped under the cage. Kate rushed to help, but couldn't move the cage no matter how hard she tried. To make things worse, their oxygen tanks had less than 5 minutes of air left. With time running out, Kate had no choice but to leave the cage again. She swam up and begged the staff to throw down 2 oxygen tanks. After relaying her message, she quickly returned to the cage. Soon, the tanks were dropped, but they landed several meters away from the cage. Kate didn't hesitate. Knowing her oxygen tank had only 2 minutes left, she swam as fast as she could to reach the tanks. She removed her old tank and connected the new one just in time. Gasping for air, she felt a wave of relief, as though she had narrowly escaped death. Once she caught her breath, Kate didn't waste a second. She grabbed the flashlight that had been dropped with the oxygen tanks and swam back toward the cage, where Lisa was still waiting. Just as she was about to return, a massive shark appeared overhead. Terrified, Kate lay flat on the seabed, staying completely still to avoid being noticed. The shark swam away, its white tail vanishing into the darkness. Thinking the danger had passed, Kate stood up and started swimming back to the cage. But the shark suddenly turned back and attacked without warning. It clamped down on Kate, dragging her away. Lisa watched in shock, unable to process what had just happened. Tears streamed down her face as she cried uncontrollably. She was filled with regret, wishing she had never agreed to the dive. But there was no time to grieve. With only 4 minutes of oxygen left and her leg pinned under the cage, she had to find a way to survive. The new oxygen tank was just within Lisa's reach, but it felt impossibly far away. She decided to use the spear gun to pull the tank closer. However, she didn't realize the trigger was caught on a screw in the cage. When she pulled hard, the spear gun slipped, cutting into her palm. Ignoring the pain, she tried again, determined to hook the oxygen tank. After several attempts, she finally succeeded and pulled it over. Lisa quickly switched to the new tank, narrowly avoiding suffocation. Just then, Kate's voice came through the intercom, faint but clear. Lisa was overjoyed. Kate was still alive. Despite being attacked by the shark, Kate had managed to escape and was now hiding, severely injured, in a crevice among the reefs. Lisa immediately wanted to help her, but was still trapped under the cage. She remembered an inflatable vest nearby and decided to use it to lift the cage. Placing the vest underneath, she inflated it, and slowly, the cage began to rise. Lisa pulled her leg free with a sharp cry of pain, blood flowing from the wound. She leaned against the cage, trembling, but she knew she couldn't stop now. Strapping on the oxygen tank, she swam toward the location Kate had mentioned. When Lisa found Kate, she was lying motionless on the seabed, her blood staining the water around her. Kate was barely conscious, and Lisa realized they had no time to lose. She lifted Kate and began swimming toward the surface, knowing it was a life-threatening risk. Igniting a flare, Lisa carefully ascended, trying to avoid the deadly effects of decompression sickness. Halfway up, the flare burned out, plunging them into darkness. Lisa lit another one, but they soon noticed they were surrounded by sharks. The bright light seemed to keep the sharks at bay, but it didn't last long. When the second flare burned out, the sisters knew they had no choice but to ascend faster, despite the risk. To lighten their load, they discarded anything unnecessary and swam upward with all their strength. Breaking through the surface of the water, they screamed for help. The rescue crew tossed a life ring, and the sisters clung to it as they were pulled toward the boat. Just as they were about to climb aboard, a shark lunged out of the water and bit Lisa's leg, dragging her back down. Lisa fought desperately, pressing on the shark's eyes with all her strength. The shark released her, and she seized the moment to grab the crew's hand. With their help, Lisa managed to climb onto the boat, bringing Kate with her. After their harrowing ordeal, the sisters were finally safe. It was a terrifying experience they would never forget, and one they would surely never risk again.